Hey y'all, it's Kim from KGD Creative. Today I'm bringing you another mini slimline card. I just can't get enough of these little cards. I love their size and scenes are so much easier to build with them. Let's get started on our card. Today you're going to need a piece of Nina Solar White 110 pound weight cardstock, and we're going to cut that 6 to 6 inches by 6 inches. Now there's a lot of different ways to cut a mini slimline card. There's several different measurements. My preferred choice is to use the 6 by 6 and score it down the middle at 3 inches. Now we're going to take a piece of green cardstock or pattern paper. Mine is from a 6 by 6 paper pad. I like the green plaid, and it's cut 2 by 6. This is going to be our grassy hill area. Then we're going to take our Maymay Basic Book 3. I love this book. It's got such pretty colors in it. It's almost like a linen texture. Not texture, but linen look to it. The paper isn't textured. We're going to cut this piece to 6 by 3. Now the paper is 6 by 8 already, so all you have to do is just slice off a 3-inch piece on the end of it. That's going to end up being our sky. Now we're going to take Maymay's Mr. Big Ears 2.0 stamp set, and we're going to stamp out some of the images to build our scene. We're going to stamp out the bunny that's in a basket, the chick, 3 eggs, and 3 flowers. And I'm going to be using Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I'm going to be using my alcohol markers to color with, and Memento Tuxedo Black ink is a great ink to do that with. It won't smear with your alcohol markers. I'm also using my Mini Misty because, as we've discussed before, I'm not all that great at stamping. And this way I can be assured that I can get a clear stamped image. I'm using my stamping tool that I told you guys about. If you've not seen that video, I'll link it in the description. It just helps me get good, firm, even pressure. And you see I got a really good stamped image here. So now I'm going to take my alcohol markers, and I'm coloring with some very inexpensive, as far as alcohol markers go, markers that I got off of Amazon. They're called Cali Art. I think I paid somewhere in the $60 range for all of these, and there were like 120 markers in the package, including, and it also included a colorless blender. I'm not all that great at coloring. It's kind of new to me, and so I don't feel like I could spend the money on Copic markers to start with until I find out that I really enjoy this, and then maybe I will. You see me coloring in the bunny. I wanted my bunny to be white, but white is never just white. There's always shading in it. So I've got the lightest warm gray color that I have, and I'm just putting in a little bit of shading with it. I don't have that one warm gray marker was a little bit too dark. So what I did was I shaded in where I wanted, and then I took my colorless blender and blended that out to give it a little bit of shading. And I'm onto my eggs now, and I do my best to give them a rounded appearance. I go in with my lightest color, and then on the very edges I put some darker color and then blend that out. Again, I'm really not a great colorist. I enjoy coloring, but I'm in no way a professional at it. I love that little chick in this stamp set. I just think he is just so cute. Now, we're going to cut out our images, and I'm just going to go ahead and confess that I did the easy way. I used my brother's Scan and Cut, and what you see me doing there is just trimming up some things that the Scan and Cut missed. Now we're going to take our 6x6 card base and we're going to score it at 3 inches. And my card stock is pretty thick. It's and so I like to try to get a good score line there. And then instead of just immediately forcing that crease, I just kind of bend the paper over and just kind of massage that crease line in a little bit, very lightly hitting it with the bone folder, hoping not to get any cracks in my score line. Now I'm going to take my bone folder and go over it with a little more pressure, trying to get a good crisp fold. I like working on a flat card, so I'm going to open it up, and we're going to glue our blue piece that is cut 3x6 straight down to the card front. This is our sky of our scene. I like using the Barely Art glue. It gives you a good bit of wiggle room. Now we're going to cut our little hill area out of our green. I thought I had a hill die, but I don't. And so I'm just going to sketch out something. I'm terrible at drawing, but you know, it's a hill. How badly can you mess it up? And so I'm just going to sketch that out on the back of the pattern paper that I'm using and cut it out. I'm using my Cutter Bee scissors to do this cutting. I love those scissors. I also have a pair of Fisker scissors that I use for fussy cutting sometimes that are spring action, depending on how my hands feel that day. And I use my Barely Art Precision Craft glue to glue my hill area down to the bottom of my card. It should stretch all the way across the 6 inches. There's no border on this card front. Now it's time to start gluing our critters down. Now you'll notice my bunny, when you saw my bunny before, he had a white background in his basket. And when I went to put it on the card, I didn't like that. So I got the closest blue color alcohol marker I could to my pattern, my background paper, and colored in the inside of it so that it looked like you were seeing through the handle of the basket. I'm just laying out my images like I want them. And truth be told, I already knew how I wanted the bunny and the chick and the eggs to go because this is the 3rd time I've made this card. I was just trying to figure out where I wanted my flowers. Anytime I make a card for the design team or for a video, I always make one just a test project first. And so I did that, and I liked the way it turned out, so I was going to make the one for the video. And I got a little bit too big for my britches and tried drawing in stems for my flowers and some grass, little pieces of grass texture in there, and it looked terrible. And so I just decided to re-record and remake the card because I was not happy with what I'd done. I need to learn to stay in the role I know and no drawing. So I'm going to adhere the bunny straight down to the card. We're going to add some dimension in a bit, but not on our little animals. We're going to add some, here's where our dimension comes in. We're going to add some foam tape to the back of the eggs, and we'll end up adding some to the flowers as well. A lot of times when I start to use the foam tape, I have little pieces for items like this kind of stuck on the side of my roll. If I've cut a piece and it's a little long and, trim it off rather than throw it away, I will stick it to the side of the roll so it's available next time. So we've got all of our foam tape put down. I'm going to get my craft pick, which is an indispensable tool in my craft room, and pop off the backs of that Scotch double-sided foam mounting tape. I'm going to adhere my eggs around my basket using my reverse tweezers, which are another indispensable item in my craft room when I can be coordinated enough to use them. I sometimes have a hard time making my brain make the reverse tweezers work. So now I'm going to glue the chick down. I'm going to glue the chick down straight to the card. And there goes my third egg. I'm going to glue it or adhere it over here close to my little chick, as if it's rolling down that little hill toward the chick. So now we're going to adhere our flowers onto the basket, and I'm going to use some tiny pieces of foam tape for the two biggest flowers. We're going to group those over on the right side of the basket next to the bunny. I'm going to pop up the two largest flowers with the foam tape. And then that smallest flower, we will end up just gluing it straight down on top of the other two flowers. And I think it turned out really cute. I like all the bright colors. Easter to me is a time for really bright colors. Here I am gluing that little flower straight down. Just a little dot of glue. Now it's time to stamp our sentiment. I'm going to use some VersaFine Clair ink and the color Twilight. We're going to use the sentiment on Mr. Big Ears 2.0 called Happy Easter. I'm just going to stamp it nestled down on the blue, but down closer to the hill area of our card. You don't want to stamp it too far off to the left, then it will be somewhat disconnected with your card and with the scene. And I think it turned out really cute. Now we're going to decorate our envelope. I have a size 7 envelope, sometimes called a coin envelope. And we're going to stamp that little bunny that looks like he's peeking around the door frame or something. And I'm just kind of playing around with where I want it. I'm going to pull in a scratch piece of paper because I can tell that part of that bunny's going to hang off, and I don't want the ink on my surface, on my desk. So we're just going to ink that stamp up with the VersaFine Clair Twilight ink. And I've never used that stamp before, so I wanted to stamp it off once just to make sure it was good. And Then we're going to stamp it over here on the left corner as if that little bunny is peeking out from behind. I really do like to decorate the envelope to somewhat match the card, just to tie it all together. Okay, now I'm going to take a pink alcohol marker. I'm going to color in his ears, his cheeks, and his nose. But I'm going to use just a very light touch because these alcohol markers will bleed through, and you don't want that to show on the back of the envelope. If you think that you can't use a very light hand, you can always put something inside the card, a scratch piece of, not inside the card, inside the envelope, a scratch piece of paper or something inside the envelope. And I just barely touch the surface with the brush tip of that marker. I think our card turned out very cute. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I really hope you enjoyed Mr. Big Ears 2.0 and his mini slimline card. This card is part of the Maymay Made It Pictorial Design Team. I, along with 3 other wonderful ladies, submit at least 2 projects each month over on Maymay's Instagram page. I'll place a link to that in the description box below. These ladies are uber talented, and I know you're going to love their projects. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd be so honored if you would, and hit that little bell icon so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Until next time, happy crafting. God bless.